what would be your solution in terms of helping the Web3 space, or let's say Web3 games, reach new demographics and age groups, particularly, let's say, females?
Start advertising on Twitter, people might say that that's not how you should be doing this.
Today, we are going to be talking about how Web3 companies can use paid marketing, specifically paid ads, to rapidly grow their user base, boost their brand awareness, and help Web3 companies increase their revenues and their profits. And who better person to come onto the show than Vytis Bareika, who has managed over a whopping $100 million in ad spend over a 12-year period in both the mobile and Web3 space. So before we dive into things, this is the Web3 Mission Possible podcast. I'm your host, Felix Cao, and I'd like to welcome Vytis Bareika, founder of Define Chase Digital Marketing Agency and head of publishing for BlockGames, to the show. It's fantastic to have you here, Vytis. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to bring you on to the podcast here. I know that you and I had met in Las Vegas for the summit, MGS 24. So that's the beauty of networking and meeting in person. And, this is this continuation of building our relationship moving forward. So let's get started with this question, Vytis. So you've been marketing for over a decade now. Can you take us back and tell us, how you were able to grow your portfolio to the point where it has led you to managing over $100 million in total ad spend?
Yeah. So it's actually quite a long story, 12 years is a big period.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess everything started very small. So I got into my first agency. I started selling direct calling, cold calling, and selling Google Ads as a service. So
Okay.
as a kind of like an agency. So my usual pitch was, I'm able to see you on Google. Are you visible on Google? And
Mm-hmm.
those kind of terms. And later on, I advanced a bit. I started asking, "Are you tracking conversions?" And 12 years ago, that was a hard word, to manage. And yeah, I got good at selling and also got good at managing Google Ads campaigns. And yeah, I needed a change. So I got an offer from another marketing agency.
Perfect.
So it's our prospect.
Okay. So how long were you
Yeah.
at Google first? So when you first started, how many years were you there for?
So I wasn't directly in Google.
Right.
I,
But
I
you're
was just
offering the service
Google
too. Okay.
as,
Yep. Makes sense. So with that first
as
agency, how long were you with them for?
years or something.
Okay. So several years. And then you came across this other agency that got in contact with you, right?
Yeah. So one of the top agencies globally.
Mm-hmm.
So under their umbrella is Denseyagis Network. So that's the one.
Okay, perfect. So when you're offering your services to pretty much run the Google Ads campaign for those companies, were they in the mobile space, or were they SaaS companies, or were they brick and mortar companies? Like what does that kind of composition of portfolio look like?
So it was a mix. It was e-commerce, SaaS,
Mm-hmm.
B2B. Yeah.
So you're really diverse in all the different types, right? So you have extensive experience now in the Google Ads space. You manage tons of campaigns for companies that come from diverse industries. So now take us fast forward to before you got into Web3. Like, what is it that really attracted you to Web3 that really caught your eye, and you said that, what, I'm gonna move away from what I was doing and really focused on the more of the Web3 space.
Sure. So after the second agency, I went to a third agency
Hmm.
where I became head of the department for the biggest agency in our region, so in the Baltic states.
Okay.
And after that, I certified as a Google Marketing certified trainer, and then I got an offer from one company, and that specific company is specializing in gaming. So they have like tons of different gaming titles.
Okay.
Uh,
What type of games,
and
by the way, were they the type of games that they were making?
So they were making casual games, match-3 games,
Okay.
uh, hide puzzle games. So there was quite a different aspect there.
Yeah. So this is what year would that be? Would you say that is that when you made that transition to that large agency
Oh, it was a while ago.
a while ago?
I guess, yeah, I should check my
Oh
LinkedIn.
yeah, a couple of years ago though, right? But if you could kind of ballpark it, do you think it's like the mid 2010s, around 2015,
I
2016 ish?
switched to so I switched to the big agency in 2016 actually.
2016. Okay, so it's mid 2010s, and that's where you got exposure to more of the mobile gaming space, right? With the casual gamings, really games that were anybody could play it. So it didn't have to be someone who was hardcore, for example. It could be your everyday person who sits on the bus or who's traveling somewhere and they just pull out their phone and start playing the card games and or the casual games, which they always say it's what's the saying? It's it's highly addictive because it's hard to master, right? But it's very easy to play, right? So it was those type of games, kind of like your Angry Birds, Flappy Birds, very simple. And then when you got into Web3 here, so we'll fast forward it a little bit. So 2 years ago, you start your own agency, which is called Define Chase Digital Marketing, and you also were the CMO of BlockGames as well, and now you're the head of publishing. So let's dive into this current area of work that you're doing specifically with Block Games. So how would you describe Block Games first of all? Just for the regular user or the person that's listening right now.
Yeah. So BlockGames is a company, and we're focusing mostly now on two different audiences.
Okay.
So the first audience is like a general audience, so like Web2 players,
Mm-hmm.
and the second one is the Web3 players. And we are building. Currently, we have an app which is called BlockGames,
Right.
and people are able to download the app.
Mm-hmm. And this is on
Uh,
iOS and Android. Is that correct? Or
Android only.
Android only at the moment. Will you
Yeah,
be releasing a iOS version for it?
that's the plan.
Yeah, that's the plan. Okay,
Yeah.
but right now it's available on Android, right?
It's available as a web app for iOS.
Okay. For iOS, did you say? Or
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
for iOS, but then Android is the one that is in the plans for the future.
So Android is available for Play Store, and
Okay.
iOS is available through web app experience.
Okay,
Web
got
app.
it. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So basically, you download the app, and you're able to find different games that you would like to play.
Mm-hmm.
And when you sign up, you can connect your wallet, you connect your Twitter profile, and basically you play the games you want to play. And for that experience, you're able to earn points, actually airdrop points, and other coins and tickets. And there's quite a few mechanics,
Yeah. Oh,
which then can be changed to real life rewards
okay,
like
perfect.
gift cards, like actual airdrop points that you can later exchange. And yeah,
That's perfect there. So, this is a really simplified way to describe it. I know on your website, you describe it more as a, network platform for game discovery that connects, players with games and dApps, right? So you are responsible for the user acquisition to drive users to that platform so that the games can get exposure there. So let's actually focus on that. So one way that we could do it is to have a look at it in terms of charting out or mapping out the customer journey that comes. So we could break it up to three stages really. The first one is the initial user acquisition. So like what have you implemented with BlockGames, for example, to drive that initial influx of users. And then the second stage is, the nurturing part or community building, like what are some of the things that you found to be very successful to keep retention rates high and to keep them currently engaged and to keep the users coming back and playing the games, and thirdly is the ultimate gem for any company is to convert them to advocates, where they're creating, let's say, content on behalf of user generated content, and sharing that with their friends and family and their audience, and also bringing in users from that perspective as well. So if we just focus on the first stage, how does that, how do you help, let's say, BlockGames acquire that initial batch of users? So I'd like to hear your some of your strategies that you found to be very, very helpful.
Yeah, sure. And also one thing to note, so when the user plays the game, we actually driving traffic to another possibly Web3 company or another Web2 company that's
Okay.
publishing their games. So we're actually helping other companies to grow their games as well through BlockGames.
Oh, okay, perfect. So you're just pushing the traffic that comes through all to the different types of games, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was something that was very, very prominent, especially in the about early 2010s, 2014, 2015. Ketchup was very, they're very conspicuous when it comes to that. They would pretty much have their flagship game, and then from there on, they would run their own ads and then push the traffic into the the next game that they want to make public and really big. But yeah, that's something that is certainly effective. So in addition to pushing the traffic that has already entered into your ecosystem, what other ways have you found to get the BlockGames in front of the audience, for example?
Yeah, so I don't know if you were able to see on Twitter, on X, but actually over the last couple of days, it was mostly BlockGames. Well, from what we see from our community side,
Mm-hmm.
so we had more than 2 million posts, about BlockGames.
Okay.
So actually we now reach like 600,000 Twitter followers.
Oh, wow.
It's growing like rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
So some mechanics we implemented recently help to grow the reach and the audience that we are getting to our app and to our communities, is actually social points.
Social points. Could you
Right.
elaborate that in terms of how that works?
Sure. So as mentioned, when you get the BlockGames app, you're able to play games, and for
Mm-hmm.
playing games, you complete challenges, and then you get points or coins.
Okay, and those are the points and coins that you can redeem for real life gifts, right?
Sure. Since we will be having airdrop functionalities, and they're already there, uh, there are extra steps you can take to get more airdrop points. So one of those is be active on social. So post a post about BlockGames, tag
Mm-hmm.
us, and what actually drive the biggest engagement here recently in the last few days was that the users were able to interact with each other's posts. So like imagine you
Comment
fill,
or like
yeah,
or like
yeah,
reshare it, for example.
yeah. So imagine you posted a post about BlockGames,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just commenting, liking it, and you're actually getting extra points from that because your post became much more popular. And there's also kind of an influencer multiplier. So basically, in a nutshell, what's happening is with all the posts happening, so we
Mm-hmm.
now have more than 2 million posts, everyone is sharing and farming the airdrop points.
Oh, so that's a really good way. So the points are in alignment with dependent on how active a user is in your entire ecosystem. So that's in addition to playing your games, for example, but also out of the games, contributing to, let's say, the social network effect, right? So commenting, creating their own user-generated content, all that activity gets rewarded. So with that, so that's a great way, first of all, to, for the second stage, the nurturing stage, to re-engage the users, to make sure that, there's something that intrinsic and extrinsic that keeps them coming back for more and more. So the reward system definitely does it. And if you couple that with, creating really high quality games, then you really have a winning formula. So let's say that you're a user, you're really, really active in the community. You play the games, and then you're contributing to the the social network ecosystem. You accumulate a bunch of points. Now, what type of rewards can somebody redeem their points for?
Yeah, so there's different mechanics. So there's coins that you get for completing challenges.
Hmm.
There's tickets that you can use to participate in challenges. And one thing to note is that we have uh, planning to have hundreds of games. So that's not only our games. So actually the library is quite extensive, especially if you're in the US. And yeah, so for the coins, you can get Amazon, you can get Google Play gift cards. Uh, you'll be able to get USDC, and well, much more things are coming in the reader.
This.
But for the airdrop points, you're
Mhm.
actually getting airdrop points, which will later help you to get a higher possibility to get allocation for block token.
Okay, so let's actually touch on that for a second with the token itself. So this token will be the token for block games. Is that
Uh,
correct, or what's being tokenized here, so that the listeners have a clear idea of what that token is for?
Sure. So the token hasn't been launched yet.
Hmm.
So we are preparing for a pre-sale,
Okay.
and that's why there's those points. So that they help you to get a bigger allocation if you're able to enter the pre-sale.
Hmm.
So that helps our community, to earn from being active and loyal to the community. And with the block acts like a fuel in our economy.
Could you
So
repeat that, Vitus? Did this kind of cut out? What acts as a feel for your economy?
the block token
Okay, the block token.
acts, yeah, is our currency.
Okay.
Yeah, so it will connect all value exchanges like between games, dApps, and players.
Okay, so it's the in-game currency. Is that correct? The kind of like a Roblox. Is that how it is, or is it something that's different from that?
Yeah, so basically, as mentioned, it connects the value exchange that we have between games,
Hmm.
dApp, and players. So actually, it's a mechanic that helps us to pull our economy when we have publishing deals,
Right.
and also to boost our engagement with the community.
Okay, so just so that I understand it, and for the audience that that's clear as well. So a user comes into your ecosystem. They're very active in terms of playing the game, for example. They're very active also in social media. They get points, and then with those points, they could also not only could they redeem it for, as you mentioned, like for Amazon prizes and Google rewards and so forth, but it also allows them and positions them for the token, right? And the block token is the in currents, the pretty much the in economy currency that you could use across the entire network. Is that, am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, it's more like that, but the whole process of getting the token,
Mm-hmm.
especially before the pre-sale,
Yeah.
well, to enter the pre-sale, there's quite a few steps that you have to do. So one
Okay.
is get the airdrop points. The
Mm-hmm.
second one is to have a lucky roll, which will act as a possibility to enter the pre-sale.
Okay. So.
And there's also last one more thing is we have our own NFT,
Mm-hmm.
which also acts as a key to enter
The
the pre-sale.
pre-sale, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's pretty. So let's. You had mentioned something that's that we haven't heard about, which is the lucky roll. So, what is that? What exactly is that? If you could clarify that.
Sure. So looker is if you want to enter before the pre-sale begins,
Hmm.
you need to get as many lucky rolls as possible.
And how does
So
somebody earn those lucky rolls?
yeah. So you can connect with our NFT holders,
Okay.
owners, and you can try beg or ask them, to give you some lucky rolls. So
Okay.
our NFT owners usually have them. You can be active on the app. So, like mentioned, earning social points,
Mm-hmm.
playing your favorite games, completing challenges within the game. So, being active in the ecosystem. And there's also giveaways. So, with our partner communities, partner games, ambassadors like KOLs who are spreading those lucky rolls.
Got it. So it's all based on the user activity there, and then they could just convert it or position themselves for the community pre-sale. So, we really touched on, the latter two stages of the customer journey. So we talked about the nurturing phase, which is keeping the users engaged, and a lot of that is based on the reward system. And also from that, will be the stage three part, which is the how does somebody become an advocate, and obviously that's through continuous engagement with the platform. But if we kind of backstep or kind of go to the very beginning of how do you introduce the users in there, this is your specialty with the user acquisition. I'd like to focus on the paid ad side, especially as it relates to Web3 companies. So, how do you, like, for example, an important question that people may be asking right now is like, how do Web3 companies use paid ads to reach users?
Sure. So, paid ads is actually quite similar to Web2.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have your top 10 channels that you can find on Appsfire Index, like Google, Meta, Upload, and much more, like Unity. But when you want to reach the masses, and most projects want to reach because they need to reach volume in economy.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the best channels actually. Mm,
So
so
that
for
would
Web2,
be so that would be like your Googles and like on Meta and pretty much the major social network platforms and running ads on X.
sure, sure. So yeah, you can spend hundreds of thousands per day and you can scale up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you always have to optimize towards the end goal events. So user acquisition is pretty similar in terms of when you want to reach Web2 audience.
Okay.
Uh, but when you want to reach Web3 audience, that's where we have all the community activities. Then that's when you have the partnerships. That's when you have all the incentives. Yeah,
So it's more about the relationship marketing when it comes to Web3, because as we've seen in the Web3 and crypto space, community is everything. So it's really leveraging just the power of people in general, right? So, but if you look at it from the point of view of, once again, we'll just go back to the paid ads. Do you focus on the some of the more, let's say, native Web3 platforms, such as or ad networks, should I say, like Coin Traffic, Coinzilla? Do you have you used a lot of those, and are they successful, or like what's your experience with them?
so mostly we're now doing for Web3, we're mostly doing the things that I mentioned. So
Mm-hmm.
community events, all the activities within the app, social engagement, and partnerships. Uh, and for Web2, we're doing mostly traditional marketing.
Okay.
So yeah, so we have different goals for tier one markets,
Right.
and also we want to grow the user base in other regions as well,
Mm-hmm.
because we see a big trend there, big emerging markets trend from there as well.
Okay. So just so that I understand, is Web2 with the mobile space, you're just leveraging all the traditional channels that are out there, right? So something that's been done for the last 1 or 2 decades. Whereas Web3, it's more about the the centers of influence, the working with particular partners or influencers, for example, and really catering to the community itself and making sure that the people who are involved are, they have a voice, right? And you're listening to them, and then you're also working hand in hand with them as well to create the best experience for them, and also to create a company that is very, very vibrant. So just from what I'm understanding in terms of the paid ad side, when it comes to Web3, it's not something that you're finding that is really used to any same level as the in terms of the Web3 comparison. Is that would that be accurate, Vytis?
Yeah, yeah, we hear feedback from people that Web3 ads
Mm-hmm.
don't look good. So, if you start advertising on Twitter, people might say that that's not how you should be doing this.
Oh, okay.
So there's that feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's limitations what you can advertise in different channels. So yeah, we have multiple different things that we're testing are doing right now, and that seemed to work best with Web3 audience. So like NFTs, social interactions, carols, being active, delivering what we're saying. So we actually now have more than 600,000 registered users on our app,
That's
uh,
awesome.
like with last 300,000 in a couple of like less than a week. So the numbers are like growing
Really
without any
rapidly.
paid ads. Yeah, yeah.
Perfect there. So, in terms of challenges, for example, so what would you say are some of the biggest challenges that Web3 companies face today? So they could be, in your case, a gaming company, it could be NFT company, DeFi company, um, you know, L1s, L2s, it could be anyone in that entire Web3 space. But from your perspective, what would you say if you're to list, the top three biggest challenges for a Web3 company that they face at this particular point in time?
Sure. So the first thing that comes to my mind as a user acquisition guy
Mm-hmm.
is it's hard to get your iOS app on App Store. So I guess you heard that most iOS users have to use web app
Mm-hmm.
instead of a native app.
Yep.
So that's one of the big problems, because then you have to track what's happening on the web, on the app, and it's
It's very
less.
fragmented. There's a lot of tracking as opposed to having everything that's kind of cohesive.
Exactly. So for user acquisition, once again, so you have since users are connecting their wallets, so it's harder to track also what's happening there, and then attribute that to the marketing activities.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of data problems there, how to track everything, uh, and also yeah, the limitations, and also that the Web3 audience is not that big compared to that too. So you need to really think how to connect with them in a meaningful way. And as we talked about, paid ads not always the way for Web3.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've also heard in terms of paid ads as well is that there's not enough as the Web3 space or the crypto space needs time to mature, where there's enough data to really create profiles for the user, and then that's how the targeting could be a lot more proficient, so that the ads get in front of the right people, right? So that's one of the biggest challenges that when I was talking to with other marketers in the Web3 space, they had mentioned as well. So as time goes on, and then there's more people are able to build their on-chain reputation, a lot of that information will be available, assuming that the user, allows access to their data, because that's one of the main central points of decentralization is the ownership of not just digital assets, but also your own data as well. So, anyone for the users who are willing to provide that information, then the data set overall for the Web3 space continues to grow. And that's how, companies are able to get in front of the right audiences. So those are some really great challenges that the Web3 space has to overcome. So you had mentioned with the demographic right now, it's very, very small for Web3. And I think you and I would both agree that the majority of the users in Web3 are predominantly male, 35 and under. So, what would be your solution in terms of, helping the Web3 space, or let's say Web3 games, reach new demographics and age groups, particularly, let's say, females, or anybody that is 35 or over? What would your solution be to that?
All adapt the content. So we play games for the content.
Mm-hmm.
We watch movies for the content. So adapt the content to the audience.
So let's say that we're looking to bring in more females, And one of the biggest interests for females are fashion and the topics of, let's say, health and beauty. So I would imagine that a lot of the content or games would be centered around those particular categories. Is that something that you see happening down the road very, very soon, or is it already happening?
Sure, and you also see with fashion brands, that they are
Mm-hmm.
making their brand their products, trackable. Who was the original owner? Well, so yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Yeah, that's excellent there. Yeah, so it's a matter of, bringing the big brands and also the influencers as well that have a large female fan base, and then getting the word on, a lot of the Web3's capabilities and the benefits to their audience as well. So, if we are to look at right now in terms of once again, since it's a very, very small pocket of users for Web3, we're at the stage now where the whole narrative is, how do we blow the gates open and really get this out to the masses? So, from a gaming point of view, because usually entertainment leads the way for mass adoption. We've seen it in every technological revolution. So, for this particular cycle here, or for Web3 gaming, in your opinion, what type of games will burst the doors open for mass adoption to happen?
Well, you can see already in the top rankings what kind of games have the most downloads.
Mm-hmm.
So usually those that are easy to play, fun to play, and you can just come and go.
Yep.
But actually, from what we know, that hyper casual is having problems. Uh, yeah, because of iOS changes and the monetization is getting harder.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say that the games that once again has great content, and especially from what we see, the most highest returns are in mid-core games.
Or what type of games?
Mid-core,
Uh, Mid tier, or
mid-core,
what?
mid-core.
So what type of games would you be able to give some examples of those?
Raid Shadow Legends.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and uh, and also something like hybrid casual, so not like so like not yeah, so kind of like a casual but a bit faster paced game. So like yeah,
Do you think would like something like Candy Crush fall in that type of category games?
possibly right.
Something of that nature. So we're seeing that, in your opinion, it'll be those really simple games that people could just come and go really easy, and it's not really, let's say, maybe it won't be like a person shooter game or anything like that, where people are a little more zoned in, but it's like how we saw in 2012 with mobile. It was the very simple games that where all you did is press a button and then you just jump up the level, or dodge objects in that particular app game. You're thinking that we'll see something similar to that, and then but how does the Web3 capability side to it? Because we just don't want to. The last thing we want to be doing is just taking a Web2 game and just throwing it into the Web3 space. So there has to be some sort of unique experience now that, let's say that a game is hyper casual in the Web3 space. How does that Web3 game now, carry that Web3 type of allure to it that is not found in the Web2 space?
So as mentioned, hyper casual might not work in Web3 because hyper casual mostly based on ads. The revenue is based on ads.
Mm-hmm.
So like hybrid casuals or something like that could be a good mix, and going more to kind of like a RPG element like mid-core games have is
The
the thing
mid-core
to
games.
do. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So here we go. Let's jump to these last questions here. Um, so looking to the future, Vytis, what are your predictions and forecasts for Web3 and the crypto space as 2024 goes forward?
Yeah, so as you can see, Bitcoin is rising,
Yep,
everything is
over
rising.
70,000. It's really ripping right now.
Yeah, so I think things are going great. We're in a good cycle, so uh, most companies will get funded, and their tokens should be doing well, I
Hmm.
suppose. So we will see a big influx of the things happening. And yeah, I will not say that things will change differently, like totally differently this year, but this will be like a good bump and for the future projects as well.
Okay, so you will see, as in every other cycle that preceded, a huge injection of capital, and with that injection of capital, there's a lot of progress and development. And something that has been missing in the space is a lot of the projects have been speculative. Do you see that changing or turning the corner with this next cycle, where we're going to be moving from, oh, this project is supposed to be doing this, to projects that actually does what it is that they actually do according to their white paper? So become more of a transition to practicality and utility. Do you see that happening in this cycle?
Yeah, I really do hope so.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone wants a good project, a project that delivers, that they're not lying. So that's the values that we're trying to uh, go by.
Mm-hmm.
So because if you will not do what you're saying, then
Yeah,
you will get killed by the community.
exactly. The trust will be lost, right? So it's more than just communities, it affects the entire space in general as well. So, and lastly, with this question right here, Vytis, so where can people go to connect with you and learn more about what you're working on?
Sure. So to learn more about BlockGames, please just go blockgames.com.
Mm-hmm.
And to learn more about me, just find me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. So on LinkedIn and then on blockgames.com. And also, you have your own digital marketing agency, which is found at definechase.com.
Right.
Perfect. So, well, Vytis, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your decade plus of experience on marketing, and especially in the field of how Web3 companies can use paid marketing or relationship marketing efficiently to achieve their user acquisition goals. So, from here, make sure to follow Vytis on LinkedIn. And as well, for those who are looking to rapidly grow their user base, especially through paid ads and marketing in general, go check out his website as definechase.com, and also check out blockgames.com as well. So all the links will be in the description below. And don't forget to smash the like buttons for this video if you found it helpful. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure to turn on that notification bell to see more Web3 experts like Vytis on the podcast as we release new episodes frequently moving forward. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.